JD, what would Jesus do? Seems like a simple slogan, but it's true. How would Jesus greet these people? And almost done. Time required. You know, when you read that, you can figure out how often you're going to be able to do it. So you see, this is it's not, we're not making a demand, but whatever you decide, we just want to be able to hold you accountable to it. That's why we're making it free. It's free. But if you touch it, it's yours. If you say that you're going to be here, you've said you can count on me. So we're not forcing you. We're not saying pick every Sunday. We're not saying that. But if you do, be mindful that when we make up this chart, just so you can get an idea, when we make up this chart every month, it's a schedule. And you'll have a copy of this so you can see if it's your Sunday to be on or be off, and everybody will know. So that just because you're an usher doesn't mean that you're working. Yes.
This is just a sample. It'll probably change because I need to add other people to the list. But we took what we spilled out and created a schedule for all the teams represented here. It's just a sample of what the schedule could look like, and the run of service coordinator will use this to put people on the responsibility.
They don't know. They don't get it. I'm boring them with this meeting.
That's it.
I'm going to try. You go Uber?
I think so. I don't know if these guys are waiting for me outside. I think so.
You did?
Probably.
Go check.
That's what Tisha met hanging around, so.
Are you going to eat?
She's there too.
Y'all going to eat?
I don't know.
Tell them if they're going to eat, I would like to be invited, because I don't have no money.
Pastor, I have a question.
I'm listening.
So I see that if you're on the schedule, you have to be here 15 minutes early. What about at the end of service?
It's just getting over a cold.
Yeah, thanks.
Because you notice how your voice is changing?
I know.
Sitting by that cold door.
Yeah, thanks.
See, you even got stiff. Sorry. Yes. Say it again?
So in the how long do you have to be here after the service? Like so you have to stay if yours like if today is the fourth Sunday, February, and me and Darshell we're ushering.
What happens is
we're here
this.
15 minutes before. We got that part. What about?
Well, the ushers and greeters, you know, there's another meeting going to come up called altar workers. Basically, when service is over, the ushers and greeters, pretty much they make sure that everybody is okay and they get out. Security kicks in. Security is the one to make sure that everyone leaves. You see? So the ushers and greeters, you know, your job is pretty much over at the amen. At the benediction, you're pretty much over. But then the security is the ones that kick in, you know. But then there's a portion where if there was first-time visitors, they're going to come to you to get those cards, right? There's the ministry, like any visitors that came for the first time, the ushers and greeters will be there at the end of service to talk to them.
And so it's the usher that's going to do that welcome experience with the exchange of the gift, and the greeter is assigned to the exit greeting. So I think your question is, how long do you stay there to exit greet?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm writing that question down so that we can add that to this.
Yeah, so basically this will work, well it's gonna work, but it will work effectively with communication.
All committed.
So for instance, if it's today's the fourth Sunday, Savvy Darshell on, Savvy can come in the morning 15 minutes early, but she knows she has to leave in the afternoon. I just have to communicate with Darshell.
Not Darshell.
Who would, that's right, who would I?
The team leader. There's
Okay.
a team leader that knows
That then will
everything.
tell.
And
Okay.
and then you can also share it, but you can share it, but you have to tell it to the team leader,
Okay.
who is the person responsible.
And being that I was a little bit late, was a team leader assigned yet? Or that?
Yeah, we're gonna mention that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's very important because the communication, so that you don't feel guilty, so you don't feel as if, you know, that you're not covered. Sometimes a conversation covers you. I'm not gonna be there, you're covered. You know, that's coverage. I'm not gonna make it, covered. You know, and then, you know, 'cause there's a procedure, because like if you're not gonna make it and you don't tell somebody, that's gonna bring a flag up, and then people are gonna, what, why are you not gonna make it? You know, you don't have to say why you're not going to make it if you're deciding not to come on your own. But if you don't come on your own, the team lead might ask you what happened. You see? So if you say you're not going to make it, you don't owe a responsibility unless you want to. But if you don't show up, people have a right to ask, you know, is there something wrong? Is that okay?
Oh,
Mhm.
I just have one more thing.
That's
Like
fine.
certain things, being that the job that I do, it requires me sometime to go out on Sundays.
Yes.
So sometime I'm not going to, so I figure I'll mention it now.
Mhm.
I'm not going to always be here.
Mhm.
You know, it may be a Sunday they call me off guard and just say, Yolanda, could you come in and cover for them for Sunday? So if I can't be there that Sunday, then I can call whoever it is, or let them know here,
That
you know, whatever, however they want.
Mhm. You guys will decide how your team functions, not me. You see, so whatever's best on how to communicate with each other, you'll decide that. Like I said again, ownership. You're creating a ministry. You're creating a ministry, and you're gonna create how we communicate to each other. You know, and that's important. That is, trust me, because in the long run, knowing that you can talk to each other any way that you want to, that's kind of good. I'm gonna text you, I'm gonna call you, or you decide no text, call. You know, depends on how you decide. And so when you have this schedule, and we just expect you to follow through, you know. Now, training required. I believe that we will look for opportunities to learn how to usher and greet better, visit churches that are known to do it in an excellent way, you know, conferences, different things. There's different ways that we will get you guys trained, you know. You know, are you up for that, learning how to do this better? Right? If it's a ministry, it can be perfected.
Yes.
And the last thing is, well, next to last is the overseer. I am the overseer. I am the one overseeing it, which means that I'm watching from a distance. But I believe someone had requested to be the lead, right? And was it Luciano? Deacon Luciano has decided to be the team lead. He asked, you know, we left it open, right? No dictatorship, no pulling straws from my hat, right? We asked, nobody filled out that column, but he did, and we thought about it and said, yeah. He doesn't live far. He gets here pretty much. Huh?
Doesn't even take care of taking my stuff down.
You said it did.
Doesn't do his job right.
Oh, well, it was a neighborhood.
And so being the team lead means that he is going to be the one responsible. See? Yeah, if there is something wrong, go to him.
Right.
But like I said earlier, develop a relationship. You know, if you don't like his attitude or he don't like your attitude, talk. You know, say, can we communicate better? You know, I don't think we're doing this thing right. You know, because like I said earlier, endurance. These relationships, they're all new, and we got to learn how to work together. The last thing you want to do is leave a meeting and say, well, let me go pray about it. That means we failed. Having to pray about something after the fact, that's failure. You pray about it before the fact. We pray before. You know, we pray before, and when we talk, because we all have the Holy Ghost, we all have discernment, we fix things in a meeting. That make sense?
Yes.
And so here's his responsibility as a team leader. It's not easy. A team leader will be assigned and responsible for ensuring that the team meets once a month to pray and discuss team effectiveness. See, once a month. His job is to make sure you guys have a meeting once a month. Coordinating and distributing the team's monthly service schedule. His job is to make sure that that he knows everybody's schedule to the point where he's able to submit. Recommending process changes to the team overseer. Like if you guys make a decision that you want to have a change, you don't just change on your own. You don't just decide, well, this Sunday we're going to stand on each other's shoulders and walk around the back so we can see better. We look at you like, that's not God. So if you come up with a change and you pray about it and it's something that you decide on, he brings it to me. Don't call me. Remember, what am I doing? I'm pastor. Don't call me and tell me what you think about the ushers. You are the ushers. Don't call me what you think about the greeters. You are the greeters. You know. Pastor, call me right back. 3 words. Pastor, I need to speak to you. That's this. I show you all his text. 5 words. Pastor, I need you to call me. Pastor, I need you to speak. That's good. I appreciate it because one thing he has done great things. So he does get an answer back. But he's the team lead. Please, if he's slacking off, help him. You know, if he seems like he's not paying you guys attention, help him. Say, hey, remember me? Remember me? You know, and it's important for him to know this inside and out. This is the job description. You know, if you're gonna ever argue, you argue with this. You know, no, this is what we're supposed to do. This is what we agreed to do. And if you want to change something, just have him bring it to me. And if he brings it to me, we can look it over. Because some stuff is negotiable, other stuff is not. Because there is just established protocols that work in churches. And number 4, engage in one-on-one support conversations regarding role expectations. Like, like say for example, oh, yes, I have it. Yes. It's good to have a nice brown in you. You have what's called ministries. Oh, I don't think I have it. Different, share accountability. Now you have, like a bear.
Too much sitting.
My wife too, she got stiff and she went home. She said, I'm out of here. She's like a ball, she's not a bounce. Shared accountability, right? Now, when any of you on this team come up with an issue that warrants the team lead to like call you or text you, we'll follow these guidelines. And it's not to be intrusive, but it's a support. If you missed a service, how can I help you? Is there something that I could have done so that to help you, like car broke down, chickens never came back, you know? But it's about a support. The first conversation is support. Second one, support. What's going on? You know, we begin to ask a little more, you know, and you notice I'm not in any of these meetings. I'm not in the first 2 meetings, you know, and it's not, because sometimes you go through stuff and you can't usher anymore. You can't, you say you can't. You can't greet anymore, you just say you can't. So basically, don't just leave us out there. Don't leave us dry. Just tell us what's going on. Because once we can cover something, it's not in the air. You know, because if you huffing and puffing, I'm gonna pick it up on the pulpit because you're my extension. You're it's like if I got an itch in my hand. You know. And the last one, we might have to discuss whether or not you need to just not do this anymore. You know, so if you miss them like over and over again, you know, and you didn't have a conversation, the conversation might be, you know what, I want you to sit down somewhere. Like Pastor Lane would say, sit down. But it's done to help you so that you don't feel obligated or
Overwhelmed.
overwhelmed, you know, because if you don't make a commitment, anything is overwhelming.
Bless you.
You know, coming to service two Sundays in a row is overwhelming to certain people, but if you're committed, it's nothing. You know, and that's it for.
And the stuff for the,
So don't forget, reach out to him.
I'll reach out to him.
When you see him again, then y'all can discuss
I'll reach
on
out
how.
to him.
I mean, he'll be at church next week too.
yeah, right?
But basically, he'll decide. Huh?
He'll be here Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
And he'll even be here later after service if you'll want to decide, if he's ready to tell you how to contact him, but, because I didn't want to speak for him. All right, so this, quick.
I didn't check off anything because I already know what I do, so
Well,
I don't want to be.
I know, but you know what it did? With the checking off helped us to know where people wanted to go.
No, I'm just saying.
But it's not easy. Listen, I know it's not easy. So with security now, real quick. The security team is responsible for the protection. This is important. Security is responsible for the protection of life and personal property during services and special events to ensure the safest possible environment. Their presence offers members and visitors a sense of peace and security that will enable them to fully engage in the worship experience. In other words, the security team is not the smilers. They're not the ones walking around with a smile on their face like, hi. They're not responsible to welcome anybody. They can look however you need to look to make people feel secure. That's what security does. You know, so your obligation is to make sure that no one and nothing gets stolen or broken and no one gets hurt. With security, their responsibilities are a little different. They arrive 30 minutes before service begins to survey the surroundings and correct any potential hazards. You know, like Pastor Lena tripped on the carpet, you know, that's a security concern. And you guys always wanted to put tape down, you know.
Wouldn't that be set up?
Well, secure. Set up people with security that they won't become a security issue. But when you think of security, we're thinking safety and security.
Roll into one.
Yeah, you know, so it's about people being safe, whereas the ushers were more responsible spiritually, security is more responsible physically. It's like, don't touch that. Like the person was trying to touch that, you see how he kicked in, don't touch that. Ushers don't worry about that. Ushers worry about people. Safety and security says, get your hands off of that. You know, where's your parent? Go somewhere. You know, they're not friends. You know, they're responsible to make sure that everybody feels safe. They observe all who enter the sanctuary and identify potential threats or concerns. You know, people come in here, you know, if they smell of alcohol, whatever, you know this person might erupt at any moment. Security, even if the ushers and the greeters miss it, security picks it up too. So you have an overlap, you know. They are aware of medical, police, and fire procedures in the event of an emergency. Like we have 2 emergency exits, and you know, we got them stairs if we got to run up, you know. So in other words, security knows how to get this place evacuated as quick as possible. Like when we had medical. Another way to the kitchen. Right. See, security knows that. I don't even know that. You know, I know this one. And then that gate is locked.
No, it's not.
It's no longer locked.
No.
That's a fire hazard. That's against the law. All right. So you see, security knows all these things. And also, look at this one. They utilize the appropriate procedures for approaching and subduing individuals who pose a threat. You know, you got to know how to approach someone before you take them down. You know, you gotta size them up, assess their threat. And if you gotta grab them from the back or however, you have the right to do that. You have to, you know, and you can't let people that wanna hurt others, they can't survive. They cannot have an opportunity to hurt anyone. They can't steal, you know. She had her phone stolen. She went to the altar one Sunday, came back, her phone was gone. People steal. Yeah. You know, that's why, you know, the security has to be mindful. People will steal, you know. Be willing to put yourself in harm's way to protect others. The security team is not, you know, they're not the ushers. They're real. They're the ones that say, no, if anybody gonna get hit, it's gonna be me. And I'm not gonna be the only one getting hit. I'm gonna hit too. You know, but you gotta believe that is a responsible, and they're also in the sanctuary. You know, the guys that beat up Jesus, they were the temple guards. God's house was thoroughly protected. God, you know, to the point where if they got past the porters, if they got past the Nephilims, God had to kill them. If the people didn't kill them, God would kill them. So the protection of God's presence was life or death. So I don't want you to think that this is a police action. This is God's action. You know, it's important to him that people meet with him and they feel secure and safe. Now here's another one. Do not be overly social or maintain a posture, you know, do not be overly social, but maintain a posture of vigilance until all members and guests have exited the sanctuary. When service is over, just, you know, stay on guard, don't act cute, just try to usher him toward the door. It's time for you to leave, because I can't leave till you leave. Bye. Bye, Felicia. Sorry, I thought that was funny because it was the wrong crowd. So you got to usher people out, you know, because if you all happy and your security, they ain't leaving. You want them out. You want to know we're safe. Lock it up, we're gone.
See, that's why as soon as you leave, I start turning these lights on.
No, I know. And
That's why we try to shut the speakers, everything off immediately. Just because everybody knows, oh, okay, it's done. It's out.
And and look at what the next one says. That's important. Look. Follow the established protocol for signals and gestures to signal alerts. You hit that light, it's time to go. That's your favorite. But all of these are signals, and I see the signal. I submit to security. You hear me? I, Pastor Rich, submit to security. I'll agree with ushers and greeters, but I'm not submitting to them. Security is saying, Pastor, there's a threat. We're no longer in spirit mode. This is physical. This is life or death, Pastor. You gotta submit. You follow what I'm saying? So I submit to security. Police, fire, whatever emergency you guys say that's going on, I'm submitting. I'm not saying let's pray about it. No. Security calls an alert, it's an alert. And we're gonna learn gestures, you know, signals, you know, how to, you know, but that's something you guys gonna create, security creates. Not me now, remember, what am I? I'm pastor. I just pastor. And what's the next one? Follow justice.
Know how to lock and secure all entrances.
Know how to lock and secure all entrances. The reason why we were able to write this, can I be honest with you?
There's only one exit.
No. I watched y'all. I watched what y'all do. That's why I wrote this down. We don't have no protocol.
No, the thing is, right now, we're basically set up that Vince stands outside. He's been greeting people as well. He takes care of that. If he needs something, he'll let Louis or I know. And
But you're taking care of it. See?
Exactly.
We never
I'm in a
ever had
position
it.
where I can see the door.
We never ever had it. It's all new. And that's why it's a
And it
ministry.
came out of nowhere.
It came out of your aware. Y'all were aware of it. Y'all aware that it was a need, You know, and out of a need came a ministry.
Oh, no.
See, and, you know, that's why when security has meetings, you're gonna create the protocols, you're gonna create the system. Not me. I can't create it. It wasn't in me. It's in you. We're gonna have police come, you know, during the training, if we need police, firemen, how to do CPR, Heimlich, whatever.
But did you saw
I'm
the
not
sheriff's
suggesting.
officer standing there, right?
The defibrillator?
The sheriff's officer?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
was there listening.
Yeah, today, because you know why? He didn't have Vince to talk to. Usually he's talking to Vince. When the pastor gonna finish? I gotta get out of here. He can't leave till we leave.
Yeah.
So he had to stay and listen. You on the camera.
Oh, no, he actually, that's the one who says he likes the way you preach.
Yeah. The white
That's the one.
The white
He
guy, right?
comes, yeah, he comes in because he likes the way you
Yeah, he's a
preach.
nice-
No,
nice
it's
guy.
the first day he came. Of course, he knows you,
Long.
yeah.
I'm just changing now that we got ushers and greeters. They'll subdue them spirits at the door. Now, you know how to lock those. Work, now here we go, ready? Work with ushers and greeters to ensure continuity and safety. Now, security, now watch this, and this is what you gotta understand, speaking of Luciano. Security is not subject to ushers and greeters. The security team is, it's kind of like
All right, thank you.
the Army Rangers and the Navy SEALs.
Okay.
They're not subjected to ushers or greeters. They can work together with them, but they have to stay separate from them. Because what if an usher or greeter is out of line? You gotta take them down.
Just go like this though. How you doing?
Right?
Yeah.
Take them out.
That's it.
Those fuck.
That's it.
But you see,
Right there.
look, he really got him. He wasn't merciful just now, was he?
No, he wasn't.
But you see how important that is, right? Because if you get too close to the ushers and greeters, you'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and they could be the one that's gonna plug out on it. It's usually the members of the church that have a fit. Calm yourself down. We were on a cruise, and
He likes to rub it on the face. We were on a cruise. We're never on a cruise.
but watch what happened. The guy had the tray, and it spilled on the kid.
Ouch.
They took this man, and you never saw him again on the cruise. The waiter, you never saw him again. Whatever it was, their evaluation system, they deemed him unfit to come back out. And he stayed in his room the rest of the cruise. That's how security has to be. Security, you gotta watch the ushers and greeters and say, listen, you're making a hazard in here. You're the one you're causing strife. Like if you see an usher or greeter out of character, and you see that it's causing friction, come on, help me, guys.
Yeah.
If they're not doing things by the Spirit of God, and if they're in their flesh, it's causing this. You're going to be alarmed to it. You're like, you got to take that outside. But I'm an usher. Yeah, usher outside. Or I'll lock you up. You get what I'm saying? Security cannot be friends with ushers and greeters. You can work with them, but they might be the ones that cause the problem. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's like the police. Police are not friends. You ever see that? You don't know. I'm not your friend. I got to protect and serve. I got to protect life. So that's why security needs to really begin to develop their own protocols and how they're going to do things. You know, and we establish it, have meetings, and then let me know what we're doing.
Our whole thing started up with when you had a situation when somebody on Facebook something about.
Oh yeah, they're coming down and get me.
That's where it all started from.
I'm glad. Come
It
get
started
me.
quick.
It did, right away. I heard it. Pastor, I got you. I'm like, all right. Let them come. See, work with ushers and greeters to ensure continuity and safety. Because if the ushers or greeters let you know something's out of order, you don't think I got it. Thank you. You know, you just acknowledge it. You know. But I wasn't trying to make them look bad, but they're just like anybody else in the church when it comes to being safe. You know. And they're gonna get offended. You just gotta tell them, listen, I'm not the one. You gotta leave. You gotta go to the bathroom, take a time out, something, because people can get, if the leadership is emotional, then the ship is gonna sink. Be aware of the seating plan for guests that show potential concern. We got like an issue, but they're here before everybody else, so we're not gonna determine where this person sits, but we will take precautions by opening doors, making sure that the rest of the congregation is not adversely affected. See, and that's in how I see it, no matter how nice a person is acting, they're still a threat. Because you don't know, people, when you're living out there,
You don't know.
you don't know. You don't know what they're going through on the inside, and you don't know. So. And security they don't exempt anybody. And that's the rule I want to have with our security. No one's exempted.
So you better behave yourself, Pastor.
I better. I can.
I have to escort you out. When Pastor Elena says, "No, let me take care of him," I have to escort you out.
And listen, let me tell you a story. There are situations where
Thank you, Ty.
pastors get out of control and they have to be removed. You can watch it on YouTube. They had to take the pastor out. They start fights. I got to protect life. Security has to protect life. And if a pastor is creating a hazardous environment, you don't sit there and tolerate it. You got to protect the people. You got to believe that. You have to believe that. I mean, I'm not crazy, but if you see me, picking up chairs and stuff like that.
Time to go.
No, it's time to pick your chair up and say, "Go on, Pastor. You want to fight?"
That's when I walk up to say, "You serious? You really want to go?
You really want to Pastor Rich, you really want to go this way? I'm with you. I told God I'll protect this church, but Pastor, you want one of these? But I'm not joking, because there are ministers that are bipolar, and at any moment, if they didn't take their medicine, you don't know what they could be going through. I had this one guy, I think he was a deacon, I think he was an usher, and he got high. And we were in Bergenview, and it was small up in there. He went like this and got in my face. And because he was a part of the church, nobody thought he was going to do that. And he was in my face like this.
No, that's the church, the white ones on it.
In my group. And that room was more smaller than this section.
No, it was before you.
It was before these guys.
Yeah.
And he was high. And, and my ushers were slow.
No, I was gonna say that.
There was none of them there. And we were building. We only at the Bergenwood. Everybody's just coming in from the world. We're just building. Nobody knows protocol. But physically they saw it, and then afterward, I was going to take him out. After. He all in my face.
I was just waiting.
Yeah, I was just waiting. Look at me. He's here.
Look,
We would've gotten this much closer?
Boys then.
If I would have gotten this much, if you would have gotten this much closer, I would have been on.
You got two big boys.
But what happened was he was one of us. That's what I'm trying to tell you. No, you don't know. You don't know when one of us is going to flip.
You don't know everybody's life, what they're on.
You don't know what they're going
So
through.
you gotta be
You don't
prepared for
know
everything.
if they started new medication and flips them
If you
out.
wanted to choke me, who could stop you? You would take you a little while. You would have to push from back there to get to him, but you can't see it in his eyes.
Throw a chair.
What if he ducked?
Oh no, once you get, you're already up there.
But that's what I'm
That's why I got
trying
Louis
to
up here.
say. He sat here. He was one of us. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. You can't, as security, nobody's exempt. You can't let your guard down. Everybody's a potential threat. And I tell you, everything was in me kept me from going into defense. You know, and I almost, in my mind, but God subdued, and he told me, you pastor, you cannot react with your fist right now. Because he was high, and he was all in my face, like, you know, like I'm a deck, I'm gonna punch you, you know. But thank God he subdued me, and everybody later on was gonna get it. So security, nobody's exempt. And that's why the ushers need to be strong. They need to be diligent. Ushers need to be a part of security. You know, ushers, I'm not talking to this guy anymore. He's checking his
I'm
muscles.
stronger than I look, okay?
I know how strong you are. I made you pick stuff up, trust me.
And you know, and that's why you don't want certain people to sit close. If, you know, only people you really want to sit in the first rows is people you know are not a physical threat. I offend every Sunday, you know that. You know, and thank God I don't talk about homosexuals like I used to. You know, but in the event that I say something that's offensive, I think you're going a little too far. Miss?
He's Tom. One arm.
But I'm not as offensive as I used to be, but in the event that I do get offensive, security needs to pick up that this might be a
Volatile situation.
volatile or potential volatile situation. Pastor is inciting a riot. You know, you got to really be mindful that I can say the wrong thing, and you don't compensate. Security doesn't compensate. Security is aware. You know, there are pastors that really are mean and nasty, but their congregation is too. You know, so I don't expect that from us. If I am out of order, don't agree with me. You hear me? Security has to keep a high level of discernment. You know, because the pastor's gonna say something, I'll protect pastor, I'll keep him alive, but then later I'm saying, yo, you need to watch how you start fights with people. You hear me? I should not start a fight. I can preach the gospel, and if people have a problem with the gospel, that's fine. But if I, in my flesh, are instigating, come on, that's not healthy. You know the difference between me preaching and me instigating. Yes. And monitor children, ensuring that they are with adult supervision at all times. You know, it's hard, but if we have one incident where a child is hurt, that could be the last time this church ever existed. Children are the epitome of protection.
Yeah, there was a couple of incidents where we told a parent to keep a child calm, and they got upset with us.
Yeah. Those things are changing because, you know, once we have structure and order, and people need to know, we ain't trying to hurt your kids. If you're a bad parent, that's on you. But, you know, like those hallways, the bathrooms, we're doing good though.
So how do you want to handle it? Because me being the newbie, basically, I don't have relationships with all these kids. So that's why I'm saying, because I know a lot of people here, oh no, that's so-and-so. Oh, no. And it's like, you want to be like, go sit down.
Yep.
You know, do what you got to do.
Ushers and greeters, right? They make sure that things are in order here. If they get past the usher and greeter, security do whatever you want.
Because I've had to tell people a lot of times, dude, go take care of this.
Yeah.
Because they, you know what I'm saying, people just,
Once a child is out of the range of ushers and greeters, and this is a security issue, tell that child go, go, get to your parents, because they need to know. See, these kids they're just like any other kid. They won't try to push. And if the ushers and greeters are not going to be attentive, security got to stand up. No, you don't belong out here. Go, get with your parents.
And they shouldn't think we're here to babysit their children.
because that's the thing, that's why I'm saying, because that's why I asked, who are the ushers gonna be, because you're saying from 10:15 to 11, you still need an usher at least,
Yeah, they're gonna
to be responsible for the back half of the church, because when you have certain little kids coming by the cameras, coming by the motherboard, people talking, you can't have it.
Exactly.
It's,
Another thing, with ushering, you should always have your eyes open. People,
I know how to do it. I'm fine. All you gotta do is talk to each other. I'm good.
but if you're on duty, you should have your eyes open.
Yeah, those are the meetings you'll have. I'm Pastor Rich. Those are the meetings you guys have. You create the protocol. You create it all. What is that? Not yo no sé. That means
yo no me meto.
Yo no me meto.
I'm not getting involved.
I'm not involved in it. That's because if you create the protocol and you tell me what the protocol is, I'll back it up. But I'm not gonna create the protocol. See, that's why security has to have a high level of respect, and they create the respect. You tell a kid, get out of here. You ain't gonna be walking in this hallway. Don't play with them. Go. Where's your mother? They need a sense that this is a secure environment, and that we're not playing. We're just doing it in the hallway. Go. Yeah, children are bad. They will stop a church from functioning. Once one event happens to a child, but if we have, but no, I'm not talking about limbs. I'm talking about legally. Legally, if there's an incident involving a child, that's it. It's just like schools or anything. They're the highest level of security issues. It's a child. Child safety is number one, and that's why you don't want. Yeah, that's why you don't want children around you. You personally, trust me, you do not want a child around you, ever. That's why we don't want a child around you one-on-one. If they're not your child, send them inside. Last thing you want is a child hurt with you being the only one around without a witness. Well, my job, the way my job is situated, we never have one teacher around a child, period. We have windows, we have cameras, everything. There's always two teachers around a child, or more than, or 5 kids around one teacher. Never one-on-one. And that's how we need to create it here. Even if you're taking somebody to the bathroom, take 2. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't have to go, where you going? We need to make sure that we're secure and we're covered. And the last one, be sharp and responsive spiritually and naturally. Spiritually we pray, you pray, you read, naturally you're healthy, you eat right, you're put to sleep. Because if you're security, you're like this. Then things can happen.
I was waiting for that.
Now, we don't have to go through what I said earlier with expectations, time required, training required, overseeing, team lead, because that's standard with all ministry. That's going to be standard.
in training, when you say training for security workers and whatnot, somebody was saying something about bringing,
Yes.
you're actually bringing.
I'll bring in a police officer, an EMS officer. These people, last 2 years ago, I brought in a trainer to be able to watch for abuse, sexual abuse in children. We had you was here, we had a big meeting on a Wednesday night. So I'll be bringing people in to train us on how to watch, how to see, how to recognize if a child is abused. In this, so that, because if you see it, you can report it. And this way they don't say that church didn't say nothing. So there's different trainings that we can go to. EMS, police, fire, and they would love to come. They would love the opportunity to teach. And if there's people even in this church that are equipped to teach, there's things that people here know. Like even how y'all wanted to just talk this now, you might even want to create a training. Like I want to sit down and talk to everybody about some things that I see that I want to teach them about. You see, so we're not going to be subject to training coming from outside. We want to be able to train also from the inside. Because when you have too many people coming from the outside, you don't feel secure. You don't feel, because if I keep bringing people in, in your back of your mind, you're going to think, well, Pastor, I think I got it. He keeps bringing me help. No, if you can start teaching, I'll bring help for what you don't know. See, but if you can teach what you do know, we'll only get what we don't know. And, and that's it. And one thing I didn't mention with usher and greeters, my dream is to have uniforms. Now, when I'm talking about uniforms, I'm talking about what?
He said, can you please write down proper attire for ushers? And
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to mention it earlier. And my dream is this. Now, once we get bigger, fine, everybody can wear a blazer or whatever, because then we can provide it. But now, I'm thinking color coordinating. If we can color coordinate the ministry that person has on, what color is it for this side? Should the women wear jeans and this and that? Depends on what you want people to know. Do you want them to know us as a jean-wearing church, or do you want them to know us as a respectful lady-wearing church? If you're a lady, how do you want these people to perceive you? Do you want them to see you in jeans, or do you want them to see you in a skirt? But it depends on what they establish. Because I don't have, jeans are fine if you're comfortable wearing them, but if I don't wear jeans, I don't.
Nice little badge saying,
Yeah, we had, right, we had all, well, no, we got nice ones.
No, I'm saying something like that.
We're gonna have it, but it's gonna be nice. But my dream is to have color coordinated clothing. Like say you're wearing red, that's a little bold, but if all the ushers and greeters recognize today is Red Sunday, it feels good to know that you're a part of a color coordinated team. To me, because I dress a certain way because I'm standing in front of people. See? So if they know that they're an extension of me, shouldn't they dress a certain way? Huh? Yeah, your bathrobe. You can come with your little Mickey Mouse bathrobe.
So no more dressing up like Ricky Martin.
No, Ricky Martin's in.
Rico Suave,
Rico Suave, Papi Chulo. Every Latino star, that's how we dress it. But the key is that you guys establish a decorum. But when you have the meeting, you got to speak clear. Like you're not trying to say, I don't want you to dress in certain way. I don't want. You got to speak like, how do you think we
Generally
should do it?
speaking?
Well, no, in the conversation, how can we best represent the door?
So no one takes it like personally?
Oh, they're going to take it personal, but how you deliver depends on how hard they receive it. Like me, I'd rather the ladies look ladylike and inviting. I'd rather they look soft. I'd rather they look, you could be, you don't have to look like frilly or whatever. But I think if you're a lady, I think
you're not talking Southern Belle, you're talking decent.
But when you go to black churches, it's all Southern Belle, right? And even when you go to white, Baptist churches, they're all Southern Bells. They all got the big hats,
No, but I'm talking about the ushers. People come in.
But I'm saying they might want to do that. They might want to come in with a certain, and I'm fine.
See, I want to see you Southern Belle.
But the key is that you guys established it. Because if I don't have a problem with it now, I'm not going to have a problem with it tomorrow. See, I'm not changing on anybody, but whatever you guys decide, I'll be fine with it. But the key is you guys are making decisions, not me. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about you making a decision. Like you see how, whatever you mentioned to her, when you have your first meeting with everybody, that's what you create. And I will order the badges again. We have nice ones. We have, like, if you're in media, if you're in usher, greeter, I don't think we gave one to choir. We gave them to all the physical crew. Everybody got their own, and it's a nice badge too. it's encased. It's not those like, Staples square laminated ones, no. It's got,
Pastor's gonna come out with the poster. Here you go. Here you go.
everybody got a poster, hi, my name is Luciano, it's spelled wrong. Lucyano, I'm Luciano. But no, it's the real kind with the magnet on the
With the
other
magnet.
side. Oh yeah, no, we everything in ministry we spend money for. We believe in ministry. You hear me? We believe that if you're gonna represent God, it should be to the best of all of our ability. Not your ability, all of our ability. And so I'll order them.
Okay, so on the security team, we have Louis.
We don't know yet. Right now, you do? Oh, I thought it was just Tylil.
Listen, you're behind schedule here.
I am.
You need to catch up. We gotta put you on point now, Pat.
So the people who signed up, who requested security were Talil, Louis, and Luciano. So
Talil, Louis, and Luciano signed up, because I'm gonna show this to other people.
Okay.
So-
So right now, they're on the schedule, but if more don't, this is a changing, we can change that.
Okay, so with security, I did not create a team lead yet,
Right.
because I don't think everybody that is a part of security was gonna make this meeting. So once all the people from security watch this video, get a chance to meet together, then we'll figure out who will be best for the team lead. So don't, because there's other, don't think, there's other ministries that other people lead. That makes sense? Right? Because you don't want to be a team lead of too many things.
Correct.
And so, but any security questions?
Just
Can you talk loud enough so
Yeah,
they
so
can?
just some things that I wrote down of next steps. Is for security is to create as a team the signals to communicate to pastors, ushers, and greeters non-verbally times of high alert. Also to create a seating plan, so if a guest comes in and there's concern about that guest, where are you going to seat that guest to keep your eye on them? And we'll work on finding out what you feel like you can offer in terms of training to each other and what we need to get from outside, like police officers, EMS, things of that nature. You also mentioned a defibrillator, if there's one here. Is this something that we can use? Is for us or for the church?
No, this is ours.
This is our defibrillator. So that's probably
It's a
part
small one.
It has to be checked out, evaluated, make sure it's charging correctly and everything. And it has to be, people need to understand where to place the paddles.
Is anyone equipped to train on the defibrillator or, okay, so I'll just write down to check out the defibrillator and to look into adding that to the EMS.
CPR training.
CPR training.
See, I had CPR training when I was in the National Guard. That's 30 years
Would you
ago.
believe they changed it then?
No,
They did. I had a meeting.
CPR hasn't really changed.
No, but they did.
It's the same basic principle of making sure it's back. You gotta make sure what exactly they need.
I know, but remember the numbers of compression?
Yeah.
They changed it.
Well, actually, they say the compression is the most important part, not the breathing.
I know, so we're gonna bring somebody in. No, you gotta do it to a song. Staying alive. Staying alive.
I know, it's a beat. It's a beat. It's not doing this. You gotta make
Not
sure.
one Mississippi. No, it's not time. It's actually staying alive. Staying alive. That is the rhythm that you use in CPR.
I remember counting 1, 2, 1, 2.
CPR training.
And that's the way it is, huh?
No, I'm not making stuff up.
He still thinks it's a joke.
No, yeah, that's,
No, but they, like you said the Heimlich before, now they say you're not supposed to do the Heimlich, you're supposed to
Yeah,
pat the
say
back.
that, yeah.
I said, I didn't know that. My daughter,
That actually
knows
works,
she-
though.
you know how she
Yeah,
gets.
the Heimlich works, but it's only if you need to do it, because there's certain instances that it's not
You don't
necessary.
require that.
You gotta
So you
learn.
can actually do it to somebody and
That's
break their
important.
ribs.
That's
Oh,
So
what
if
you
you
right.
pat them on the back,
See,
you're loosening it.
in CPR training, they're gonna tell you, it's better to break a rib than to lose a life. So that's why we gotta have. them
Actually, I
come
was
in.
trained differently.
Right, that's what we're gonna have a trainer come in, so that we can see all the techniques, you know, because somebody's like, don't hit them. My daughter, I'm driving, I ate Checkers, it had a pepper in it. My throat closes up with spicy food. I'm going to make a turn to go into the turnpike. She looks at me and she goes just like this. Bang! And it dislodged.
Wow.
Because she took CPR training. She punched me right here and I got it out and I said thank you. Because she had just, it was in the summertime, she had just finished training. She stayed calm and just hit me in the, and I got it out. So that's what
It's
we're
also
doing.
not punching directly, making sure you punch
She
correctly.
went just like this.
It's this.
She watched, and you know, the reason why I'm saying that because we're all gonna get trained, and that's why, you know, and it's important because we'll develop as a better church when everybody is trained.
See,
Because,
the thing is, once you get trained as a CPR person, you now have people's lives in your hands. So the thing is also, you have to realize if you give CPR to somebody, the possibility of them suing you also exists.
Yeah.
So even though you saved their life, they can sue you because you cracked their rib.
and I think she said,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
And you're supposed to use now a plastic wrap because you don't know what somebody
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
yeah, so I remember them saying, about lawsuits, I think they created a different law, I think, so we gotta bring them in. I think you can save somebody else's life without risk of being sued now, because they had to, because that's what was going on. People were suing. So when I'll bring her in, we'll bring somebody in and they'll give us all the details. Because you don't wanna be afraid that you're gonna be sued to save somebody else's life, you know, but that was the issue. People were getting sued. You didn't have to rip my shirt off, you didn't have to do that. You should have diagnosed me differently. So you're right about that. So you see how important security is gonna be? And they have to, and people, when we know who security is, everybody's gonna, it'd be like Moses part the Red Sea. Let them in, let security in. Security knows what to do. Any other questions? I didn't know your girls were here. I was, because I saw you doing praise and worship, but I didn't see them in the congregation. I saw you come out the
They were in the
meeting.
back. In the little room.
But no, not before that, during praise and worship, where were they?
They were singing.
They were there. Yeah, they were there.
I guess I got in the spirit quick, yes.
So in the meantime, since security does not have a team leader, how should they work on some of these things, like creating signals for alerts and the seating plan?
They're gonna have a meeting soon. Then once I give this out to the people that wanted to be in there, I'll
Who else wanted to be in?
Talil. He knows a lot about security. Benson knows a lot about security. You guys created it. So I'm figuring once they see the video, they can decide whether or not to have a meeting. And I'll leave it on that. If they decide to have a meeting, then they decide if they're gonna be a part of it, then we can go from there. But not everybody was able to make it here today.
So when you decide to have, the run of service will launch the second week of February. Hopefully you can meet before then to just talk through some things. Can you let me know when the team decides to meet? And then I can give you as a reminder of what.
We'll see what level of security we give you before you win.